Hello, welcome to the very first episode of the Let's Talk About It podcast. This is a show where I kind of talk about topics and issues that I feel like need my personal addressing alongside some very close friends of mine. This episode is going to serve as a catch up with one of my longtime friends, Carlo, and during this episode, we reflect on our time studying journalism at university, postgraduate job hunting, and whether university is really worth it. So without further ado, please enjoy episode number 1, Life After University. Yeah, so just to jump straight into things, how have you been, man?
Yeah, I've been okay. I've been good. It's been almost a few months now. Since May, I finished my degree, but just keeping it busier. After the degree, I was like, let me take a few months off and just literally do nothing and enjoy myself. And so summer up until I think September, yeah, I was like just making the most of being not having any education to do, and then I went back to my part-time job, which I've been doing for ages since like before I started uni. But and then now it's just applying for jobs, working, trying to balance that. It's difficult, but you gotta keep it moving and keep it try and maintain some sort of like consistency in applying for jobs and stuff like that. But also, you need to get money, so you keep working and you have to get those hours in and stuff. But yeah, no, everything's okay. It's been a crazy time, and it's kind of still feel like you're in the pandemic sometimes. So yeah.
So obviously the last time we saw each other was graduation, which was around
Yeah.
November?
Yeah, November. Yeah, that was a good goodbye, because it felt like the final time being at uni. And it was nice. It was really, kind of didn't want to go at first. I thought, oh, what's the point? But once I was there, it was good. It was good to say bye to everyone properly and see people we hadn't seen for a while. And it was good because you saw all the different. Just nice to see, happy day for everyone, seeing people's families, happy to see their children graduate and stuff. So it was quite. Even though I was a bit, got like a bit of a Grinch about it before, on the day I was quite happy how it went, and it was nice to say like a final bye to everyone who doesn't live near me and stuff, and maybe probably also see them in the future. But it was nice to be like have one as a group, take photos, and like kind of quickly reminisce about everything. But yeah, no, I enjoyed it. It was really good in the end, and
Yeah,
a bit
yeah.
windy though, a bit cold, but it would have been better if it was summer. But yeah, the gowns are so unflattering. Like, I hate the hat. It just makes you look such an unflattering thing. But yeah, no, it was good to get the photos and everything as well.
Yeah, yeah. Just a side note before we kind of still talk about the graduation thing. And as if you're listening, you should have shown up. You should have shown up
Yeah, I know.
because it was we were kind of the four. We called ourselves the Four Amigos because we were the only kind of group that really stuck together. And I think you and I have talked about it like outside of the podcast. I think everybody in that class probably thought we were like stuck up
Probably,
Southerners,
yeah.
you know, that didn't
I
like
think
the
it was just like,
countryside as much. Not even the countryside, but
yeah.
like the Midlands, it wasn't like London.
I think we just kind of stuck to what we knew. Like, kind of, I don't know. For me, I don't know. I don't know, because they were. I felt like them too. Because they were from Portugal, they kind of people didn't really know how to engage with them as much. But obviously, because we're from London, so we're more used to kind of that diversity within nationality stuff. It wasn't as strange to us having people who had different accents and didn't, obviously spoke English better than I did, but having they were different and different takes on the way the world works. So, but for me, that was normal. Obviously, in our schools, we had a lot of people from different backgrounds. But yeah, but then I guess we did were, especially me and you, we were quite stuck up in the way that we perceived London, because they weren't from England. Because they weren't from the UK. They were a bit more open-minded about it. They saw it as a kind of a novelty or kind of an experience, where we're from London, so it's kind of, for us, it's a bit of a downgrade. But that's not a good mindset to have. But it was just how we felt, and maybe if you look back, we shouldn't have been like that. But that's just the way it was. We was like that, unfortunately. But yeah,
I think it's one of those ones where it's like we formed like a little bit of an outsider group, not in the sense
yeah,
of like we hated everybody else, because that's not how it was, but like
no,
we were in the sense that like they were international students, so they couldn't, you know, they found it hard to mix with everybody else, and we were kind of outsiders from the Midlands, so it's
Yeah,
like, you know, we kind of got along with not knowing how the culture is there.
yeah, because
And
we didn't, yeah, because we were the ones who, I mean, not that we don't drink, but we weren't the one. We were the ones that didn't really. We never went clubbing and we never did all that sort of stuff. And I know the course, a lot of them obviously went together and did stuff together, like in terms of going for nights out. But I mean, I was with us four. We never did that really. We weren't really. It wasn't our thing, and we didn't try and force it to be our thing. So I think that was also part of it. Like we didn't really indulge in that type of uni life, like that kind of. I'll go out every week and get pissed or go clubbing and stuff. Like, I mean, I don't think I drank that much. At uni, I was probably like the best student in terms of I didn't drink at all at uni. Really, I was just at home, just doing my own thing. Yeah, I mean, that's probably also part of it. Just kind of we didn't socialize outside of uni with them. Like it wasn't because they did, but it wasn't like they didn't offer. They always offered, but it's just like we kind of wasn't our thing, and that's just wasn't our thing. And then you can't. We didn't want to force ourselves to put us in uncomfortable situations and things like that.
that's true. So kind of leading off that, like, do you think we kind of lost out on the university experience a little bit just because, you know, I felt the same way as you. Like I wasn't interested in doing all that clubbing and you know, weekly drinks and stuff like that. And like as fantasized as it is, it just wasn't like when I got there, it was just like, nah, I'm all right. I'll leave that.
Yeah. Well, that's what I mean. That's what we did miss out. Obviously, we missed out because we didn't do it, but it's not missing out if you don't want to do it. Like it's not like we wanted to do it and we just never got a chance. Like we could have gone clubbing and stuff. No, nothing was stopping us. So I don't think we missed out because that's our choice, and I don't look back and regret that. That's not something that I regret not having and not experiencing. So I don't. Obviously, we didn't do it, and I don't think we missed out in terms. And that's another thing. But like people also need like should realize that you shouldn't be at uni. I know it's your first time being independent, but don't like force yourself to do things you don't want to do if you're not comfortable, like going out clubbing or you feel like it's not for you. Don't do it. It's like no one's gonna think you're weird for doing it. You're at uni, everyone should be mature enough to be adults about things. So
And I mean, like, we had a few gatherings. I don't know if like Maria and S were involved in those kind of things, but like,
yeah,
I went to your place a couple times, and it's like
mm.
I prefer that kind of small group of people because you know it's
Yeah,
more tight
100%.
knit. Whereas like if you go out clubbing, you're meeting loads of random people, which is cool. Like, you know, you get to make friends with a lot more people than I did over the 4 years that I've been there. I could count how many people I've made friends with on what like on both my hands, you know.
Yeah, same.
Whereas other people could probably list the name of 50 people over the 4 years. But I think for me, it was better that way because you know that everybody that you made friends with was super tight knit, and like they're
Mhm.
not, you know, they're not just some random person that you met out drinking one night and
Mhm.
then um they became your like pub buddy or whatever. Like, you
Yeah,
see what I'm trying to say? Like,
yeah.
um,
No, I mean, that's true because obviously, I mean, because we didn't have many, like we weren't super like outgoing. But with the people friends we were friends with, like it meant a lot, and we kind of means that we're close friends, like we're still friends now and stuff. Like me and
mm,
you, and obviously Ines and Maria, like even though we didn't make a lot of friends, like the friends we made are like good friends, and because we spent valuable time together, like outside of drinking and stuff.
yeah, I completely agree. And sorry sorry to cut you off there, but um, I think one of the things that I really enjoyed about our friendship throughout the 3 years was that we kind of found enjoyment in the little things. And although like it was stressful at the time, we all kind of struggled together really. And one of the things that I valued thinking about it now was times where we would help each other film or conduct interviews because we were too nervous to do it ourselves. So it's just really how you take it at the end of the day. And although some people may say that we kind of missed out on the university experience because we didn't live it the typical way that everybody would, We kind of lived it the way we wanted to. So I don't really regret anything in terms of how little friends I made over the 4 years that I was there. Because in terms of friendship, I know that although we're probably not going to talk every single day, I know that if I reach out to any one of you, you guys are going to be there. So yeah, moving on. After everything's all said and done, we did what, 3, 4 years at university, and we'll kind of round off at the end whether you think that the whole university experience was worth it. But I just wanted to ask, did you kind of, after everything was done, did you kind of face this, I don't want to say depression, but like kind of this post graduation slump where nothing was really happening?
At first, I was so yeah. Like I said, I took a few months off just to do nothing, like just to chill and to like just do nothing basically. But then once I started going back to my part-time job and then applying for jobs, I was kind of naive. I thought, I'll get a job within a few weeks because I've got a degree in journalism and stuff. And I was obviously because I've never applied for properly a job because the job I've had is what I've had since I was young. So it's kind of, and I've been through there for the years. So I've never had to create a proper CV and send it off and apply for jobs on websites and things like that. So I was naive to it. I mean, I know people have said it's difficult, but I was kind of naive thinking, oh yeah, it'll take like a month max, and then you apply, and then you realize how long it is to apply for each job. Change your cover letter. Sometimes they ask you to do more than that. Fill out surveys and fill out like a character identity, and so they know who you are and things like that. So that can be, you've only got a certain amount of time in a day, and you on your days off or on the weekends, you want to still live. You don't want to just sit. You're working all week. You want to actually do something with your days off. But so you do that, and you kind of get demoralized, and then you apply for jobs and you don't hear anything back, or you get rejected via email, and you're like, oh, okay. And then so for me, after that, I kind of just like, oh, it's so long doing this. So I just kept working and didn't apply, and then I kept working and only until recently, really, I've been like, okay, look, you need to apply because you're not going to get a job within journalism for a while. So you need to really apply. So, I mean, I started applying more, but even so, you still get rejected. And it is really demoralizing. You kind of think, oh, what do you have to do? And then for me, my thing was like, oh, I must need to get a master's, but you can't just get a master's because it's, first of all, I'm fed up with education. I've been doing it since I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it's expensive. People haven't got money to do masters. I haven't got money to do masters, and you have to just get funding or stuff like that. So it's not something you can just add on to an extra year and then be more in debt. So I mean, so it is quite, it's intimidating trying to find a job. I mean, everyone else is in the same boat, and you make you, and also we're also still in, obviously, post or still in the pandemic. So the job market's a bit crazy right now, and there's less jobs, or
That's the thing. I mean, I kind of had the same experience as you, where like, we had quite a successful university. I don't know, is it career? No, it's not career. Like we
yeah,
had a,
we got good grades, kind of. Yeah, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah,
like um
we achieved we achieved a lot and things like that, but I guess
yeah,
everyone else.
exactly. Because on paper, we seem kind of we seem all right. We don't
Yeah,
um
yeah, exactly.
and for those of you who don't know, I'm not trying to like, we're not trying to brag or anything, but like, the whole Dean's Award and graduating with a first class, like that's not easy. And like
Mhm.
I learned that over my time there, and I kind of reflected on that like post graduation, that
Yeah,
it wasn't easy, and the I should give myself more credit and all that stuff. But like you said, it's super, super demoralizing when you have all that stuff on paper and then you're still not getting anything back. Um, so I just wanted to kind of share what I went through over the past, how long has it been? 6-ish months, maybe 8.
May, June. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, around that time. Um, so like after that all happened, I chilled for a bit. I think everybody should.
Yeah.
3 years of education is very, very tiring. And like you just wanna chill out with no kind of afterthought about what is next. And some people might frown upon that with the whole saying of, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail, that kind of thing. But like for me, it was just, I needed it just for my well-being, because at some point it was feeling like I'm kind of living to work.
Yeah.
Like you don't have that time for yourself, that
Mhm.
kind of thing. But then it got to the point where I was like, look, I'm trying to live, but I ain't got no money. So I looked out for jobs. Nothing came back to me. So I took a couple unpaid internships because I was like, look, if I'm going to start my journalism career, I'm not gonna jump into the big pond with all the big fish.
Yeah.
Like, can you believe I was targeting like the Guardian, the
Mhm.
BBC, like
Yeah.
all these big names, and I was just like, realistically, who am I? Like, who am I to them? I'm I probably sound like this stuck up guy who's like, oh yeah, I've got this grade, I've got this award, hire me. But
Yeah.
yeah, I had to kind of knock my ego down a little bit and just be like, okay, let's just take no money, all experience. And I did that for like I was juggling two for 3 months. And as fun as it was very hard to maintain like normal living whilst not getting anything in return. And it's good for experience, it's good for your CV. I understand that, but like
That's, that's
eventually
the
money is
problem.
what makes the world go around. So,
That's the problem. A lot of the jobs now, but even that you feel like, oh yeah, that I could, I got to, you know, I've got the qualities to do that. They ask for like 2 years experience minimum. It's just like, well, I mean, for us to get how if that's a starting thing, so where do we get the experience to do a
that
starting job? So you have to do something unpaid for 2 years or something. But then, like you said, you need money. You can't just not have money and try and live a life in London as well. As you know, it's tough. Like, I mean, it's like a double-edged sword, you know, and you're trying to. It's really difficult and stuff. But
I mean, that's a
yeah,
conversation that me and you had like outside of uni. Like, people are asking for experience, but who's gonna be the one willing to give it? Like, and I think that's the
exactly. That's
case
the
with
thing.
with
Like,
any other job, but like it's
yeah,
really how it is. Like, how are we meant to get 2 years of experience when nobody's willing to give it because they're not willing to take the chance?
yeah.
Um, so that kind of leads me to my next question. Do you think the creative sector in general is harder to get in than something that's, say, more statistical and like requires more factual knowledge, if you want to call it that?
Well, I'm not sure because obviously I don't know much about the job market and who and what it's like for other people to apply for jobs in terms of different sectors. But I mean, I guess I mean, with stuff like that, like I said, like with more factual stuff, then I guess you can prove it more easily that you're worthy for the job. Whereas in creative stuff, it's not. It's I guess it's objective, but it's also not because you need to show the qualities and stuff. But it's more difficult because almost anyone can do it in a more like I said, we're not just competing with journalist graduates, we're competing with all sorts of people and who have the quality, who show the qualities and and could possibly show the quality. So it's difficult. I mean, and it's like I said, it's very competitive and yeah, the other side of thing of the other type of like job applying is it's you do exam or something and you're proven to be worthy for the job and stuff. But for journalism, you can't really monitor it. I mean, you can show your past works and stuff, but
Mm.
even that's difficult because everyone has past works and everyone has a good portfolio you would expect. So yeah, it's. I mean, it just depends on what they want, really. I know it's probably difficult for everyone, I assume, but yeah,
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I think over this 8 month stretch of just like reflecting on how hard it is to get a creative job, I kind of came to the conclusion that, you kind of have to outcreate people rather than outthink them.
Yeah.
Um,
Hmm.
because most subjects come from textbooks. And like you said, journalism is very subjective. So I don't think it can come from just a textbook.
Yeah.
Fair enough, you learn the fundamentals and stuff, but then you have to, kind of gain your own creative flair and all that stuff. So when I enter, an interview and I realize that I'm competing with loads of people, it's like, how do I stand out rather than how much can I remember? Yeah, and I'm not trying to diss like all the sciences and maths and stuff, but I feel like it's not in a sense easier, but you can retain all the information, and it's just it's purely based on how much you can keep in your head, how much you can memorize.
Yeah.
So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, and I guess also with these one, that science, that having a degree is more of a, it's more of like a proven thing that you can do it. Whereas with journalism, even having a degree doesn't prove that you
For
can do
sure,
it as
yeah.
much. I guess. I mean, I might be wrong, but I just in my from what I can perceive is that like if you've got a maths degree or science degree, it shows that you can apply it and
Mm,
you can do it. Whereas with journalism, you still could have a degree, but you might not be able to work. You might not have the skills that are required and stuff, and you still need to learn more and stuff. Yeah, I mean it's a constant thing of learning this trades, because even though we've got a 3 year degree under our belts, I still don't know how to do many things. Like you still need to learn loads and stuff like that. So
yeah.
it's just about, and that's the thing, you don't learn until you do, and then it's about doing it is the problem. Obviously, you can do it off your own back, but you want to learn within a professional environment under people who've been doing the trade for years and have experience who you can learn from. It's just about getting your foot. And once you're there, once you're like in that environment, I kind of feel like, oh yeah, that's it. Like I can now build my way up, learn the trade
Mm,
through doing it from a daily basis, and that's all you want really. You just want that start. You just want that start in a professional standard. Like obviously we've done it a lot. We did, uni was good in terms of they had they taught us well the what is needed within the like journalism sphere and stuff, but it's about advancing that and doing it not to a uni standard, to like a professional standard within organizations that actually need like to actually produce like a lot of content for people in the public. So it's just about once you're there, you kind of feel like, okay, now it's where I start, and this is where I can now pursue what I need to pursue. It's just about getting in that first kind of step, and then that's the challenge of proving whether you can do it or not. But just want to get that opportunity. That's all we're kind of asking for,
mm.
really.
And yeah, just to kind of like leech off that point, I guess that's why I did the whole unpaid internship thing, because I
Mm.
was like, "Look, this is my start. If nobody's going to give me the opportunity, I'm going to take it from smaller people, like, smaller organizations. Smaller pond, you can technically become the bigger fish in the small pond.
Mm.
But if you think you're a big fish, you go over to the big pond, you find out you're the small fish. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really how that is. So I was just like, let me take this opportunity. Unfortunately, it didn't go the way I planned it because I don't know whether it's naivety or whatever, but um I was just like, okay, once this happens, it should be smooth sailing. But you know, nobody ever said it was going to be easy, so I shouldn't have
Mm.
expected it anyway. But that's going to lead me on to my next question. We obviously went to a lot of workshops where the university was able to publish stuff from um, actual organizations, and that workshop really allowed us to see what the professional standard was. But to me, I wasn't able to get those articles published because they didn't fit the market.
Yeah.
And I think we spoke a lot about this outside of uni and stuff like that. And it goes into the whole demoralizing thing. But did you feel like it was that much harder for you as a creative to stand out from everybody else because your ideas weren't fitting the Derbyshire market?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know when you pick stuff, people said no, it's not relevant, and that's fair. If it's not relevant, then there's no. I don't think there's any need to publish it. It just obviously it was demoralizing to have that opportunity, and it wasn't really your kind of what you wanted to publish wasn't aligned with what they wanted to publish. But that's local news. That's what happens in local news. Is they have such a specific target audience, and they don't want to stray away. Like if they stray away from it, then it doesn't get clicks and that, and it makes sense not to publish it. But I was a bit of thing like, oh, but it made me like realize that I need to, if I want to publish certain things, it needs to be for the right organization and for an audience that want to see that sort of stuff. And it made me understand that there's different types of journalism for different type of people and stuff. And but it was good in the sense that it made me realize what was needed on a news day, and even though it wasn't writing about something I was interested in, it showed me a way to have to structure an article and how to produce an article for online content and stuff. So that was good in that sense. Like it gave you the experience of like a structure and what was needed and how to create it and how to publish it, and the different types of media content involved and things like that. But yeah, maybe understand about writing articles of certain natures for certain companies, and that's local. Like I said, that's local news, and they have a very fixed view of what they want to publish, and if it's not relevant, it's not necessary for them to publish it, and I understand that. But I'll probably the same with like even in London local news, they have such specific target audiences. But even within big companies, obviously more nationwide or international, they even them they you might think, oh, this is awesome, I want to talk about so and it's like, well, it's not necessary to talk about that. It's not it's not current, or it's our audience isn't for that. So that's one thing as well. But even if you think, oh, going into journalism, at first you might not be able to talk about what you want to talk about. You just have to bite your tongue, kind of, and just follow the status quo and publish things. But that's good. I think that's a challenge in a sense of test how good the journalism are if you can produce interesting content and make it interesting as well for readers about things that you don't even care about, or you think, oh, what's important about that. But that's a good challenge, and that's something about test whether that'll show well if you can fill a formula and create and apply your journalistic knowledge to things that you might not be as passionate about. But that's something to learn from, I think, and something I definitely learned from, just in terms of getting used to how things work within a corporate organization and things like that. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, so just to throw a little bit of a curveball, you now think that you would have had greater success had you moved to a market like London, where it's
Um,
a lot more diverse and stuff like that? Because that's how I felt. Obviously, we've spoken about how my articles and yours as well have been outside of the expectations of what they want us to write. So often we have to face that additional challenge of writing another story. So yeah, do you think you would have had better educational success in a market that better suit you?
yeah, but I don't think that's within London. I think that's just like you have to find the right organization for you. Like with me, I wanted to write. I think when I did it, I was like a film. I wanted to write about films and stuff, and even with like it was like the local news in London, it still wouldn't be necessary. So I have to find. And I was also like looking back, that's pretty naive for me to think that they would publish something like that. But yeah, like you've got to find the right organization for you, or something that's consistently published about a wide range of things within media and culture. And I know yours was like basketball based for sport, so obviously you have to find the right organization that publishes likes NBA and wants to publish about NBA. Whereas in Derby, it wasn't people, but not a lot of basketball fans, or not enough basketball fans. So in London, maybe you would have had more opportunities to find like more niche organizations and things like that. But yeah, that's just how it was. I mean, but then you find that's what a uni that's the people who uni sent to workshops. Maybe it's in London, maybe they would have still sent the wrong people for us. So it's just about finding, it's just about luck really. And if it was in London, I think about, so I'm sure if he was in London, they wouldn't say no for like sports journalists and stuff. Probably would just been like, you know,
Mm.
standard news journalists who want to post about current affairs or local affairs. So just about what the uni gave us. And I mean, I'm still grateful that they gave us the opportunity to work with like professional like, and proven journalists. So yeah, that was, I mean, just but it wasn't the right people for us. But that's, you know, that's how it was.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, when that workshop happened, I think it was really kind of early on in our years of study. I think that was in the first year where they had those
Yeah.
workshops. So like for me, when I kept getting told no for my ideas that I thought were or could have been successful, to me was like, well, do I have to water down my content in a sense where like I'm just appealing to the masses and just kind of going through the motion? Because I didn't feel like that was what I joined journalism for. I think the office vibe, the whole Newsday stuff, where they kind of simulate what a newsroom is like. To me, it was like, okay, I have to think about more mainstream ideas as opposed to what I actually want to make. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether that's sad, sad or not, but like, I don't know. It was just a completely different understanding of what I thought was going to happen. Because I thought, look, I'm a creative with all these different ideas. This can work great to people who don't know about it, like as an
Mm-hmm.
introductory piece or whatever. But it never ended up turning that way. So it kind of left a bitter taste in my mouth when, you know, all these professionals were just like, yeah, this is good, but not here.
Yeah, I guess that comes with when you find the right organization to work with, where they will, you know, they will like kind of support your publishing of certain works and stuff. I guess at this stage of our careers, to do journalism that you want to do, you have to probably do it via yourself, via blogs and things like that. It's probably unlikely that we'll find within uni, especially places where we can openly publish things of our own passion. So it's just that doesn't fit the quota, you know. So I guess it's probably not till you find the right organization for you'll be able to get opportunity. But yeah, you can still. I mean, that's the thing. You got blogs now. Just like modern age, you can freely like publish things. So I guess that's where you get that kind of, you know, what's the word? You get that time to share your opinions on things and, you know, publish things you want to publish. But anyone who comes with blogs, you haven't got that professional eye over it. You haven't got someone saying, "Oh, this is good, this is bad," or maybe when you do this and that. So that's the
Mm.
problem. Blogs are so independent, but you haven't got, you know, someone with experience to kind of look over it and be like, "Oh yeah, this is good, but you know, you could do this better, or it'd fit better if you did so and so." That's the thing. I mean, I don't think we'll get the chance to write about what we want to write about. Not even with our first job, maybe not even our second job in journalism. It'll be down the line when you get enough experience to then be like, okay, this is a job I want to have, and you apply for it, and then if you're worthy of the job, you get the job. But yeah,
Mm.
that's the thing that maybe I was naive about, just thinking, oh yeah, no, I'll be able to write about things I want to write about, but you don't really get the chance to. I'm sure even journalists who are like double our age probably still are wondering, when will I write about what stuff things I want to write about. So
Yeah.
just think about luck, I think. But yeah.
I think more so for me, the one regret that I did have about the whole thing is how advertised freelancing was. I
Yeah.
don't know if you feel the same way about me, but I don't think it was spoken about enough to the point
Yeah.
where
See.
the teachers encouraged, listen, write about your own things because there's always going to be a niche market for that. And we did have a module for that,
Mhm.
um, specialist in online journalism, and that was really where I felt like in my element. Um, but again, the grades didn't really turn out that way because obviously it's marked by a teacher
Yeah.
who may not know the market that I'm talking about. So that's the thing with the whole niche thing, mixing it with education. Can it really work? Because you're encouraging people to be niche, but
Yeah.
then do not understand the niche enough to uh analyze it the way somebody in that niche market would.
Yeah.
I hope I'm making
Yeah,
sense, but like, yeah, I kind of wish that university spoke about uh being an outsider in the sense of like you can create different content outside of the market and still be successful. Because like I said, those news days, they really felt mundane in the way that everything was, in the way
mhm.
that you had to research stories, local stories, really, where
Yeah.
I was just like, uh, that's not my thing.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like I said, I wish freelancing was a bit more available in uni.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, I agree. I mean, but yeah, I definitely agree with what you said about teachers or like lecturers when you publish things on niche topics, they kind of misunderstand the point or misunderstand certain references or techniques used. I mean, I had the same experience as well. Just, but I guess, yeah, it's that's a bit. But at least if you know you kind of are approaching it the right way, then at the end of the day, the grade's not important. It's whether you think you've done well. I mean, if it's like obviously you need to. I understood in certain. Sometimes the criticism was fair, and in journalistic ways it wasn't um, up to scratch. But there's other things where I knew that didn't really make sense, and I was like, that's not like what happens in this kind of like niche thing. But
Yeah,
as long as
100%.
you know that you're kind of approaching it the right way, and then I mean, a grade's a grade. It's not going to define your piece, is it? And that's one person viewing it. But yeah,
That's true. Um, and kind of going off that, like, I think there's uh, a kind of standard for people when it comes to education. For me, I think I've spoken about it on the old podcast that we did, or some of the other projects that I've been involved in terms of unpaid internships. I've always kind of viewed university as first to one or fail. The creative industry, I don't think the grade is really definitive of what you can
yeah, yeah.
produce. Um,
That's a good thing. I think. I think that's actually. I'm glad that's the case. I mean, education isn't the be all end all, and it shouldn't prove whether you're you're the right person for the job or not. I think showing it through your own how you portray yourself in the real world is much more accurate determination of whether you can apply yourself to a job and be the right person for the job. Because obviously, for me, I did really bad at college and stuff, and GCSE. So if people look at those grades, they think, oh, this he's not obviously not can't achieve anything really. But I like to think that the way I portray myself in person and apply myself to a job is better than what those grades portray. And I think so. I think that's even though we've got decent grades that companies look at and think, oh, that's all right in terms of the uni grades.
yeah,
Also, think it's good that they're not just looking at the grades and they actually find someone who they when they talk to they think, oh yeah, no, he or she are correct for this and they're right for this job. So I think I mean obviously we got a grade and we'd like to think that we get some advantage for that, but I don't think that should be a way to mark someone's skills and stuff. Because education is it's weird. Like you can apply yourself really well and get a terrible grade. It's just education isn't for everyone, and the way the system works, it benefits a certain type of learner and a certain type of a journalist, but also for other things as well. So I'm
yeah,
glad it's like that. I am glad, even though it might be more beneficial to us if it wasn't. But I am glad it works like that. And for me in terms of college, like my college grades, I wouldn't be at uni if I was if my college grades applied to if I was they looked at my college grades basically. So I
yeah,
think education isn't that. If people overrate education and stuff like that, and also in terms of uni, you don't need to go to uni. you if you didn't get to uni, you probably learn more within the actual trade than what we did. So it, I don't think I think it's it's something that you should do, but I don't. It's not necessary. I didn't. I sometimes look back and think maybe I shouldn't have done it, but yeah.
So with that being said, we've established that we are from London and it's kind of known as the central hub of the UK. So what I wanted to ask you is, because I've pondered this question a lot, whether being from London is better or worse for us as graduate journalists, because I feel like the market is more competitive, even though there are loads of opportunities coming out. You're competing against hundreds, thousands, whereas in a smaller market, I feel like we would have landed that graduate role. I mean, hopefully, but that was just my thing. I thought that um, coming back here was gonna be great for me because, like I
Mhm.
said, I could produce the stories that I wanted to make. But then I realized that you're going against loads of other top tier schools, Russell groups, even. Like, it was just kind of nuts to think about. So I wanted to get your 2 cents on that as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I mean, yeah, you're right. There's a lot more opportunities, but also, everyone's competing for it because people outside from London are also applying for these jobs because they're willing to move to London, and also a lot of people want to move to London. So you haven't just got people in London applying; you've got people from outside. So it is really competitive, and also it's very diverse all the jobs that there is, but also the places where I look for jobs, they're not hidden places. They're on like Indeed and the Guardian's job sites and LinkedIn and stuff. So obviously these are very well, a lot of people use these sites, so you know
Mm,
that it's not you've not found some like kind of undiscovered job. Everyone is looking for jobs as well, so they're applying for the same job. So it's difficult, and also you're right. If we maybe apply for a job elsewhere, it'd be less competitive. Not saying that we would get the job, but it would be probably less competitive job.
for sure.
But then again, you don't, I have no desire to move out of London really. So for me,
I was
uh,
I was gonna say we might have to pack
yeah,
our stuff back and go up north
and
again. Go
but
back
that's, I
to
mean,
Derby.
I don't exactly. That's the thing that for me, it's work in London or not because I need for me I my dream is to work in London and live in London, so I don't want to move out just for a job. I mean, but I know friends who've got jobs and have moved out, but not permanently, but for a year or so to other cities because they've been able to get a job within journalism.
Yeah.
For me, I haven't I wouldn't I know I wouldn't enjoy myself, so maybe it's silly, maybe that's a silly thing to a silly mindset, but I know I wouldn't enjoy myself elsewhere, so I'd rather just keep looking here. But yeah, it's mad competitive. It's really crazy, really.
Yeah.
Even yeah, and like I said, and also we have got a degree. Yeah, yeah, we have got a degree. Yeah, that's good, but we haven't got a master's degree. We haven't got a year experience within journalism. We haven't, or two, or and we haven't. I mean, I haven't got much published work. So really, it is difficult. It is really difficult because obviously you come out that degree thinking, oh yeah, I'm sorted, but you're not. You really are competing with really tough people, and I know Derby also is a good uni, so especially for journalism. But you're right, we're going against Russell Group people and stuff, so it's madness, and yeah, and you kind of it is when you lucky you don't know the exact numbers, but when you apply for jobs, you probably we dread to think how many people also apply for that job. So
Mm,
and then and that, I mean, just to get an interview, and then you get an interview, and then you compete with like and so many people. Yeah, it's crazy, really, and deeper you kind of think, oh god, I'm never gonna find a job. But
yeah.
time will come, and time will come. But yeah,
You raised an interesting point earlier about how our jobs aren't just advertised locally. It's
Yeah,
advertised on LinkedIn, Indeed, like that's
exactly.
international sites that anybody can
Yeah,
access, and people,
exactly.
like you said, people from other parts of the world even come to London just for that opportunity. What I wanted to ask is like, based off this whole post grad slump that we are both currently experiencing, um, do you think sites like that, like LinkedIn and Indeed and all that stuff, do you think they add more pressure? Because I feel like there's a very prominent societal pressure for people to get stuff done at a certain age. Like I don't
Uh-huh.
know if your friends have had this, but like when you see other people gaining this much success at the same age as us, like a lot of people are going through different paces of life
Yeah,
at the same age as us. Like a lot of them are earning 21K starting
yeah,
jobs, and it's just like, well, I'm still in retail. So it's like,
yeah,
does all the job marketing websites, do they add to your desire to chase that job even more,
yeah.
whether positive or negatively?
Because they entice it so well, and they make it seem like it's easy or it's for you kind of thing. But yeah, you kind of get like what's it, false hope whenever you apply for a job. You think, oh, yeah, I don't see why I wouldn't get a job. I got all those qualities and and blah blah blah. But yeah, but then again, you have to think, like you said, about kind of feeling left behind. We are young. We are, we feel oldish, like because we've just finished uni, but we are young. We still got a lot of people don't start their careers for another few years, and that's okay. I mean, we we still got a lot of years ahead of us. A lot of like, and also people's careers are starting early now as the generations go on. So we could still be 30 and not be in a job as the sector even we want to be in. But
Hmm.
that's not a problem. I think that's normal now, and that's something that we may have to get come to terms with. But it just it is weird. And also, sorry, another thing I've got to say about the plan for jobs thing is that we don't know people within journalism in terms of like in we don't know that person. You show them your CV, or they help give a helping hand with you getting the interview or something. We don't know that
Yeah.
those people. I mean, I think that's a lot of what journalism is, kind of knowing who you know, and unfortunately, we don't know that yet. Anyway, so I mean, that's the truth. I think a lot of people get jobs by they have a family friend or a family member who helps them with something. So
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I don't even think it's for journalism specifically. I think it's just life, bro.
but yeah,
Like it what they tell you from the start, well, it's actually not what education tells you really. It's about what outside people tell you who've been through that educational experience and realize it's not all that it's made out to be. They always say it's not about what you know, is who you know. And at first I was like, nah, that's rubbish, because I'm gonna work my ass off
mm,
and I'm gonna get that job out the jump, like out the
mm.
gate. So in hindsight, I probably should have listened to them. But I feel like now adult life is all about connections, and as hard as it's gonna be to set up that kind of stuff, it needs to happen if we're gonna get anywhere, especially in the industry that we're in, where it's kind of like if you're gunning for the big names,
Mhm.
you're not gonna get there without somebody at least putting your name out, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, yeah, so I know we've been rambling on for a while, so I'm just gonna kind of round things off here. Knowing all that we know now, we're 4 years wiser, I guess, if you want to say that. Do you think the whole experience, the whole university package that we went through was worth it?
Um, yeah, I think it's worth it in terms of that we learn a lot of skills. I mean, we learn a lot of skills in terms of kind of how to write news articles and like video stuff. But obviously, those skills need to be improved and worked on and further progressed. But yeah, I think in hindsight, probably I'm glad we went to uni, but it was a struggle. I'm not. It was very much a struggle, and it was tough. And living outside of like home was tough, and kind of feeling a bit isolated was a bit difficult. But I mean, I'm glad it happened because, like I said, the course was good in terms, even though we got annoyed often and blah blah blah. But this course, in hindsight, the course was good because you learned so many different skills, and they did give us opportunities to learn the skills. Like we did various different stuff, and obviously none of those because there was so many different things. None of those skills are perfected or like completely professional, like in terms of the top professional standards. But they're all skills that we can go into a workplace and be like, oh, I know how to do this, I can do that, I can help out with this, and that's something that I am grateful for. Obviously, like I said, we didn't always get to do what we wanted to do in terms of writing and producing stuff, but that's okay because, like I said, now we have experience in writing about stuff that we're not interested in, doing
Mm,
more local stuff, which I'm sure a lot of things will be quite local and stuff when you first start a job. So yeah, I'm glad. I mean, I wouldn't say I enjoyed myself, but I definitely look back and think, yeah. I mean, I also had that kind of other thinking of, oh well, if I didn't go to uni, I could have started as like an internship or apprenticeship at a journalism job from
yeah,
young, from like say 18, and by now I would have been 4 years experience within journalism. So that's
yeah.
that's the other thing. But then how easy is it to get an apprenticeship within journalism and stuff? I don't know. I
Mm.
didn't look into it, but I look at that and think, oh yeah, well, 4 years experience is probably more important than 4 years education. But yeah, I mean, that's the only thing. But then that's probably a quicker way to learn by doing things daily. But yeah, but I was also glad I kind of enjoyed doing educational side of things like writing educational pieces like terms of dissertation, something like that. That was something I
Mm.
quite enjoyed. Whether it's not relevant really to a degree, to journalism skills, but it was kind of enjoyable. But yeah, it's I mean, I think at the time I was kind of like, why am I doing this? But I think it's more since I've graduated and I've obviously been away from the city for since before COVID. So
Yeah.
you kind of think, oh, maybe it was alright because we did a lot of stuff, and also it helped me learn how to work with teams and the different types of components of a team, and people's needs and wants and stuff. And obviously you work with people who are a bit difficult or people who are very willing to help and stuff. So that's something that, and I'm not really the most, I can be kind of frustrated by people, but I was able to understand how to work with people, and that's something that you need to do within professional standards. So
Mm.
when the time comes, I'll be able to understand better the team dynamics and things like that. So that's something good we did as well.
I think for the first time in our whole friendship, I'm gonna have to disagree with you. I'm gonna say it's overrated.
Mhm.
Education is overrated in the sense
Yeah.
where it's so openly fantasized about as a
Mhm.
milestone,
Yeah.
but then you realize when you get out into the real world, like we just said, it doesn't matter what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah.
Um, and you raised a good point about the whole internships. Um, 4 years of internship experience is better than 4 years of education, and I completely
Yeah.
agree. Um, for me, my standpoint is, look, if you're in the creative industry, yes, you do have to learn the fundamentals of that specific industry, but it's all about what you can produce and creating your own individuality. Um, and I think in most recent times, we've seen that anybody can become journalists in a sense.
Yeah.
I mean, we've even talked about it in classes actually, where like people can, whip out their phone and record a video
Yeah.
and monetize it as their own and essentially become street journalists.
Yeah.
Like it's really, I don't want to say easy, but it's it's up for grabs for anybody. And that's the same with other creative sectors. If you like to draw, you don't need somebody marking your, your papers to say, actually,
Yeah.
that's not a good drawing, because like we said, creative subjects are so subjective. So yeah, I'm gonna have to disagree with you on that one.
No,
And
I agree with what you're saying. And just like for me, I think I'm glad I went because I think it made help me mature as well. Kind of
of course, yeah,
4 years
because
help me reevaluate certain things and kind of understand better understanding of certain aspects and within myself with the like within journalism. So, but yeah, I agree with you. I don't think, like I said, I don't think you need to go to uni. Like there is a big thing of pressure of going to uni, but you kind of have to choose what you think is correct for you. And a lot of people, it's I think it's you're right. It's such like it's like people will force it upon you, but
yeah,
it's not something that's necessary. You can achieve well without going to uni, definitely.
yeah, man. So this is gonna wrap up the first episode of, I like to call it the reboot, because for those of you who don't know, in my first year of actually studying journalism, so that was year 2 of my degree, uh, we did something similar in an
Yeah,
actual studio. And it's sad to say that, we couldn't record in person because, like we've mentioned, we haven't seen each other in a long time. And
yeah,
that's just due to stuff outside of our control. And we understand that. But um, yeah, it was just nice to have this chat and, catch up with you after
yeah.
all that time. So yeah, thanks
Because
for coming on.
I
And
think if I don't remember, I remember roughly what we said in the original one a few years back. I mean, I reckon I was probably a bit more downbeat, but now looking back, I reckon maybe maybe things weren't as bad as they were. But I guess that's probably if you're living in the moment, then you feel more like, oh, everything's worse. When you in hindsight, because you're not living it, you probably have a bit more of a optimistic point of view about things and stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, it'd be interesting to look back and compare both the podcasts.
yeah. So if you guys haven't, listen to that and then come back to me in the comments and let me know how much I've changed, if I have, or if he has even. But like, I feel like um it was a good maturing milestone that I needed to go through to get me here. And
Yeah.
although it's still looking kind of gray and gloomy in terms of professional experience, we're gonna get there in the end. And like they say, there's always light at the end of the tunnel, I guess. But yeah, like I said, even from the first time we did the podcast to now, it's always good having you on. And
Thank you. Thank
hopefully
you. Thanks for
hopefully we'll
having me.
get to do more, man, because there's a lot of interesting topics that
Yeah.
I feel like I need your 2 cents on as well. But yeah, thanks a
Yeah.
lot,
Hopefully,
man.
I didn't ramble on too much about the
Nah,
topic.
nah, you're fine. But yeah, no, hopefully we see more of you. And until then, take care, man.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the very first episode of the podcast Reboot. I really hope you enjoyed it, because I definitely did. If you like what you heard today, just be sure to subscribe and click the little bell icon to be notified about every new episode that gets released. But until we speak again, take care and goodbye.